Okay, this is section 5.6, the standard form of a linear equation. We're going to break this lesson up over 2 days. So this first lesson, I want us to rewrite the equation in standard form. So we've looked at two other ways to write equations. One form was slope-intercept. Remember, that's y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope and b is my y-intercept. The second form we've used is point-slope. We usually use this form when we're given a point and a slope. And the next form we're going to look at is ax plus by equals c, and that's called standard form. Now there's a couple of rules that we need to look at for standard form. Your a, b, and c values must be integers. That simply means that you can't have any fractions or decimals. And we generally want our a value to be positive. It's not technically a rule, but it's kind of just a standard. Okay, so let's look at this one. Rewrite the equation in standard form. I have x plus 3y minus 4 equals 0. So I'm going to look and I'm going to say, okay, I want it in ax plus by is equal to c. Remember, c is our regular number, and the technical term for that would be constant. So I just need to change the order of this one. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides because I need to move that constant. So when I do that, I have x plus 3y is equal to 4. I double check and make sure that all my coefficients and my constant are integers. They are, so I'm finished. Let's look at the next one. Rewrite the equation in standard form once again, but this one looks a little bit different. What's different? Right off the bat, I see I've got a fraction, so I know I'm going to need to make a couple of changes. So there's two ways you can do this. You can either take care of the fraction first and just get rid of it, or you can rearrange it. I think I'm going to go ahead and rearrange mine first. I'm going to remind myself that I want it in the form ax plus by is equal to c. Okay, well, x is in the wrong spot, so I'm going to subtract 2/5 x from both sides. So now when I do that, I have negative 2/5 x plus y is equal to negative 3. Well, I still have that fraction. How can I get this 5 to cancel out? I can multiply each and every term by 5. Now there's something else that I'm going to notice. So my coefficient of x, besides being a fraction, is it positive or negative? It's negative. So I remember that if I multiply a negative times a negative, I'm going to get a positive. So I'm going to choose to multiply by negative 5. Each and every term. So what I do on one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other. So in the first one, negative times a negative is a positive. These 5's cancel. So that leaves me with 2x. Negative 5 times positive y gives me negative 5y. And negative 5 times negative 3 gives me a positive 15. And I'm finished. Okay, now let's rewrite this equation in standard form. Now when I look at it, I'm a little relieved I don't have any fractions or decimals to deal with. Okay, I'm going to remind myself the form I need. I need ax plus by is equal to c. So I just need to move, who's in the way? This 16 is in the way. So I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. So now I have negative 4x minus 5y is equal to negative 16. Okay, now it's not a rule that I have a positive a value, but it's going to be a lot easier for me to work with. So now what I'm going to do, how am I going to get rid of this negative? That's right, I'm going to multiply each and every term by -1. So when I do that, -1 times -4x gives me positive 4x. -1 times -5y gives me positive 5y. -16 times -1 gives me positive 16. I double check to make sure I'm in the form ax plus by equals 16. All of my numbers are integers, and I'm done. Okay, now let's rewrite this one in standard form. Okay, so let's go ahead and put it in order. Or do you want to take care of the fraction first? Because you can do it either way. Let's take care of the fraction first. So this one, I've got a denominator of 2. I want that 2 to cancel, so I'm going to multiply each and every term by 2. So 2 times -5x is going to give me -10x. 2 times 11 plus 22 is equal to y. So now I'm going to subtract y from both sides. So now I have -10x minus y plus 22 is equal to 0. You have to remember that y minus y leaves you with nothing. Oh, so now I need to subtract that 22 from both sides. So we have -10x minus y is equal to -22. I look at my a value. I'm like, uh-oh, it's negative. So I'm just going to multiply each and every term by -1. So I'm basically flipping every single sign. So I get a positive 10x, negative times negative gives me a positive. -1 times -y gives me plus y. -22 times -1 gives me a positive 22. And there is my standard form. Now we're going to rewrite this equation in standard form. Uh-oh, what's missing? There's no y. But that's okay, it's going to work exactly the same. There's just no y to write. So I'm going to put it in order. Constants go across the equal sign. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And I simply end up with x is equal to 5. And I'm done. If there's not a y, you just don't write it. If there's not an x term, you just don't write it. And that's it. So check on Moodle to see what your homework is.